All right, what's good, NBA Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the NBA Report. I'm your host for today, Al Shateris, aka the Tradecast. With me on the other side is none other than my guy, Andrew Solid, aka the 1-2 combo. We got a list of topics to discuss about today. Ja Morant's return. We got to talk about can the Grizzlies make it back into playoff contention? We got the Warriors defeating the Celtics in overtime. Got to talk about Tatum's injury and talk about Shaq's comment. Talk about Shaq's comments for, whether or not Steph should be in the GOAT conversation. And then, of course, we got to end the show with prize picks. So lock in. We got a great show coming up. Let's get to it. Andrew, what's going on, man? How are you feeling today?
All is well. Great night of NBA basketball with a little bit of overreaction from Shaq. How are you doing?
Ooh, overreaction. I can't wait to get to that topic. I'm good, man. I'm still trying to survive. Had a power outage, so I'm in Studio Z. I got the garden behind me, so gotta improvise, man, as things go south. But we're here today. We're here to talk about basketball. Salute to NBA Nation, like I said, for tuning in. We got the chat rolling. I see Blood of DePonta. I see MT in the chat. I see Nick's primed. Let's go. All right, Andrew. Let's start off with the first topic, man. Let's start off with this. We got the Memphis Grizzlies facing the New Orleans Pelicans. It was a tight game to start off with, but then it looked like the Pelicans were going to run away with it. You had CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram doing their thing in the second quarter. But then, you had a little stumbling and bumbling in the third by the Pelicans, given the runway for the Grizzlies to cut it down to 10. And then in the fourth quarter, it was a Ja Morant show as he was able to, in the winding seconds, to walk off, drive down the lane with the spin move for the finishing layup to get the victory for the Grizzlies. What did you make of that game last night, man?
Well, 12 looked like 12, right? I mean, he's already in regular season form. I thought it was great that he got to practice with the team. I think that helps a lot because just from the beginning, like even the little things, you saw the athleticism was there. And he even, like, first couple plays of the game, he threw a lob. His teammate missed, got it right back, just showed that athleticism and that hunger. And everybody talks about Ja being an elite athlete, right? I think that's apparent. It's eye-popping. But what people sometimes don't talk about is his elite passing, his elite IQ, his craft. And the combination of all of that makes him a really special player. He showed why he's a generational talent in this game, and it's great to see him back on the court.
For sure. It's great to see him back on the court. It shows why he's a generational talent. I mean, it's just impressive that he comes back from a 25-game suspension, and now he just looks like nothing is like he didn't miss a beat, man. He legitimately didn't miss a beat. He's still flying up and down the court like a blur. And with him coming back, it starts to answer. It was great. It's great time for the Grizzlies, who was a struggling team, right? I mean, you look at the NBA standings; they're in the bottom. They're right now not even in playing contention. They are currently they're currently 13th. They're 13th right now, 7-19, and they're looking on the outside in right now. But with Ja Morant back, do you feel like they can make a push to get back into like playing category? Because look, you got 10-17, which is the Utah Jazz ahead of them. They're out of contention. The Warriors, even though they won last night, they're technically out of contention, being 13-14. I feel like 7-19 with Ja Morant, the way that he's playing, and the Pelicans being 16-12, and it looks like they're just such an inconsistent team. I feel like 7-10 to get into playing category, the Grizzlies could make a push to get in there right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could be hopeful for the play-ins, and this was a great start, obviously. I mean, what better way? You couldn't even write it better, like his comeback, game winner, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this West is just so deep, so tough. I think they have a tall task ahead of them coming out to such a slow start. But Ja is back, and he is generational, so let's see if he can lift and carry this team. He said he got all those receipts on deck, so maybe that gives the whole team added motivation, and he could catapult this team into the play-ins.
I'm feeling pretty optimistic about this Grizzlies team being able to make that type of push, just because when I look at the Western Conference, I agree with you that it's stacked. Like, look, obviously you got the Timberwolves are 20-5, they're out ahead. OKC 17-8, but then and for the rest of the top six, I mean 16-10 is where you get to be in the top six of the Western Conference. But then I look at the Pelicans, who are 16-12. I look at the Lakers 15-12, Houston 13-11, the Suns 14 and 13. I know those teams right there. They got a lot of, especially I'm not going to say the Rockets yet, but the Suns, the Lakers, the Pelicans, they have that star power, right? But I feel like a team like the Rockets could slip just because they're a young, inexperienced team. And a team like the Grizzlies, who has experience, who's been in the playoffs for a couple of years, you get your star back. And with Desmond Bane, too, I mean, he didn't shoot necessarily great in the first half, but he came on and has always been a solid second guy on that team. I feel like there's enough. Also, you got Triple J on that team, too. I feel like that team has enough together, and with their star back, they should be able to make that type of push, man, especially for playing. And then once you get to playing, as Adam Silver, I'm sure, loves about this, anything can happen. I mean, obviously, you saw what the Lakers did last year. They made it to the Western Conference Finals. I'm pretty optimistic about this Grizzlies team right now, just by how I know it's only one game, but Ja just looks like he hasn't missed a beat, man. And that when your star player looks like that, I don't know, man. You always have a chance when your star player is playing great.
Yeah, I want to see what teams in the West are going to make a trade, right? Like, I think the Rockets could get even better. The Lakers are looking at Levine. The Warriors might make moves the way their season has been tough, even though they had an electrifying end to that game yesterday. So it's so hard to say now because we don't even know what these teams will look like. But I do think it's a very tall task. The one good thing is that Memphis Grizzlies games are going to be very exciting with Ja back and them having something to play for every single night. Like, I think those guys are going to be locked in. It's going to be like win or go home every night for them because they got to win a lot of these games moving forward.
They do have to win a lot of these games moving forward. And, I'm going to pull up Tankathon right now, not to see what the draft pick is for the Grizzlies, but I want to see the strength of schedule for what the Grizzlies got, because if they got a light schedule, man, then I don't see why they're not able to make some sort of push. Let's see. Trying to find it right now. Got a whole bunch of other things that they're showing me. Let's see. Remaining schedule strength. There we go. Grizzlies have, so right now, they have the 6th toughest strength of schedule based on the win percentage throughout the league. So it's going to be a tough sled for them, but this is a team that historically has also been up there with top competition. I feel like, even with Desmond Bane, it looks like Desmond Bane's taking another jump in his development too this season. Yeah. I feel like between those two guys, anything's possible. I guess for me, the only thing I would have to say is, like, could Ja just stay out of the issues that plagued him last season, right? Because the NBA is going to have, they're going to have Ja on a short leash at this point with, like, the nonsense that he pulled off throughout all of last season, especially with his, whether who's in his circle, pulling out a gun on social media and stuff of that nature. I just see the NBA is going to be honing in on Ja and watching his every step at this point forward. So as long as he stays out of the news for the wrong reasons, to me, like I said, this team can move forward. But the team I also got to talk about is their opponents, the New Orleans Pelicans, man, because I'm watching this game, Andrew, and I'm like, all right, we get 34 points from Brandon Ingram. We get 22 points from Jonas Valanciunas. CJ McCollum is just sniping from downtown, goes 6 of 9 from 3. You get some timely buckets from Herb Jones down the stretch of the game, especially to tie it up. But then you're looking at the guy who they drafted number 1 overall not too long ago, right? Mm-hmm. The guy who's also been in the media, who's been in the news for the wrong reasons. And Zion Williamson only comes out of here with 13 points and 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 of 12 from the field. And I'm like, and when you're watching this game, man, there's like some easy attempts around the rim that he's not even finishing. And I'm just, what's going on here, Andrew? What are your thoughts a bit about Zion this season?
Yeah, he has like these energetic bursts where he still looks like a generational athlete. I mean, even after the midseason tournament, he had a 36-point game. So it's kind of like Harden in the playoffs when players are slightly out of shape. They have like these bursts of greatness where they show their talent, and there's times that they don't show it. There's inconsistency when you don't take care of yourself, when you don't take care of your body. So, there's things coming out of their side saying that he's not listening to them. He's not eating right. He's not taking care of his health in the right way. So hopefully he could get that together. But you're right. It is discouraging because you mentioned Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. I mean, those guys are professional scorers. They played well last night. and they still lost this game. They needed that boost from Zion, and they didn't get it. So hopefully he could get it together. But Ja Morant showed, and he's been showing that he probably should have been the number one pick in that draft, talent-wise.
Looking like it, man. I mean, talent wise, I like Ja when I saw what he was doing in the what was it, March Madness tournament for Murray State. Like I was just impressed, and just the athleticism alone was just impressive. But you couldn't pass up on a guy like Zion, who's been in highlight reels since high school, then college, and all you have is like, well, if he's doing this against high schoolers, what's he going to look like in college? Is he going to slow down then? And then he's dominating college. And you're like, okay, he's got to be able to do this in the NBA. And then we had that one All-Star season from Zion, and when he's on. He's a wrecking ball, man. He's an unstoppable force. But when you have Brandon Ingram, man, hooping like this, and you have CJ McCollum having a game like this as well, and this is a team that made some noise a few years ago in the play-in, just showing how chippy they were. It's kind of discouraging, man, to see Zion just not own up to his full potential, because when I don't know, it's just I guess it's just me being an NBA junkie that I just want to see the highest form of basketball all around, right? I want to see all these players who got like the name brands and all this type of stuff. Zion was touted as this great generational player, and it's like he hasn't even really lived up to that expectation. And when I look at the Pelicans and what they've now are going through with him, especially when it comes to injuries, weight gain, and so forth, I'm just wondering, do you start thinking about trading this dude? Because you got BI, and you're like, this team is meant to be a BI and Zion show, but you haven't began that. I forget if it was last season, the year before that. You had both these guys in and out of the rotation, right? Where it's like BI was there, Zion was there. They haven't played many games in a few together in the past few seasons, but now this season, you have them on the court, and it's just been so inconsistent for a team like the Pelicans, where it was last season. They were number one in the West. Like, this team can roll, and they're just not doing that. And I'm wondering, David Griffin, do you get on the line and say, all right, man, I got to figure this stuff out, because Zion he's not sure if he can buy in right now. You're not getting the best performances. I mean, you're going against the Memphis Grizzlies. They don't have Steven Adams, who they're starting center, right? And I'm looking at, like, I like Triple J. I like what they have on that. They got Bismack Biyombo. Thought that was a good offseason signing for them. But it's Zion Williams, so you're supposed to be able to walk on that court, and it's like, how do we stop him? Not show up with, like, in the teens, like you're talking about, a 13-point performance. And this is not even like an off chance occurrence. This is not an off chance occurrence. This also happened in the play-in tournament, where you saw he was a no-show too in both rounds. Yeah, the Pelicans defeated the Kings, but he didn't show up for that one. And then against the Lakers, they got smoked. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm thinking it's time for the Pelicans to start having real conversations if Zion should be even part of their future, because you got so much talent on this team, especially with Trey Murphy. You got Herb Jones. Yeah. CJ, you want to make sure you made that trade with the Blazers just so that you can make something happen. And the one guy who you've done all this for, one of the two guys, I should say, is not not making it happen. I'm thinking that you got to start hitting the lines and saying, all right, what do we get for Zion right now?
What do you think his trade value is like right now?
Man, this is the thing, right? Is that he's still so, like, up in the air. It's like, what if he gets a new change of scenery? He's so talented. Like, you can't knock the talent, like, when he's on. But it's like, is it the change of scenery that he needs? So if, like, you're the Pelicans, you're like, well, we're not going to sell him for pennies on the dollar. But then if you're the opposing team, it's like, we're not going to give up a lot either, because we don't know if he's going to be happy here either. I just don't know. I feel like you can get the draft compensation. Are you going to get enough young players to go in that deal? Because I wouldn't want to give up a young player with, like, knowing that Zion may not be happy. Like, if I'm the Kings, like, and this may be hyperbole, but it's like Murray, I'm like not even thinking about giving up Murray for the sake of, like, well, we could have this theoretical great thing plus the draft picks, but it's like, I don't know. That's just me, though, because I can't deal with the unknown. He's doing stuff like James Harden, where it's like James Harden is a proven player in this league. Zion is still yet to prove himself.
Maybe the change of scenery is the same scenery you have right now.
Yeah, I'm outside Madison Square Garden right now. I can see the orange. This is the change of scenery that I need.
How's the weather out there?
It's pretty good. I got a t-shirt on. It's nice. I feel a little bit of a breeze, but hey, it's all good.
Yeah, it's great. Like, speaking of the Knicks, I mean, there was a time where Ja was going through his stuff, Zion going through his stuff. Is RJ have the most value in that draft?
Oh man, I would say. I mean, if
You
you're looking
can't.
for someone
Yeah,
who's
I don't know what
professional,
Well, yeah, true, but I still don't know. I mean, Ja's job, right?
I would. If anything, if I was to redo that draft, like you still got to take Zion in the top 3. I think you still got to take that gamble.
Yeah.
I don't like if I knew what I knew now, I'd probably take him 3. I'd put RJ at 4, and I'd put Garland up in like 2 or 3 areas. So it'd probably be Ja. Probably go Garland or Zion.
I would have to look. I would have to look at the draft. It's so long ago. Like, I covered the draft pretty closely on my pod, and that's so long ago. I can't even like think of all the players in it right now with so many draft
Honestly,
sets.
I looked at that draft not too long ago. I was like, there's only really 4 players I'm interested in, and that's
Right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Zion,
Yeah.
Garland, and RJ. Those are probably the only Cam in that draft. That was okay. I mean,
You would have Garland over RJ, right?
yeah, no, for sure. I'd have Garland
Yeah,
over RJ.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like RJ would be bumped down to 4.
Right.
Just because the professionalism. I know the inconsistencies and all that, but still, like, you still got to take the gamble on Zion. I think Ja goes 1 overall if you had to redo it. Garland is somewhere up there, either 2 or 3. And I think you probably take him 2 just because the professionalism and all-star talent. I think that's where I would go. I think Zion in this case would go 3. RJ would probably go 4.
Yeah. I know this is not a Knicks conversation, but I do want to ask you. You mentioned Garland and made me think about Donovan Mitchell. And there's a lot of Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks thoughts. What are your thoughts on that? Because as much as I like Donovan's game, like when I was watching him play earlier this season, I thought he got even better right before the injury. Like he is super dynamic, just super strong, super athletic, highly skilled, one of the best guards in the league, in my opinion, all-star level player. But defensively, does that make sense, him and Brunson?
Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can make it work. I mean,
Okay.
I think you can make it work. I mean, the way the league's going right now, it's so offensively driven that, we're watching like 110 being scored regular on a nightly basis. I think when it gets down to playoffs, can you get the stops that you need? I mean, we saw like even the in-season tournament, right? Pacers getting the right defensive stops against the Celtics and the Bucks. I mean, it can happen. So can it happen throughout a 7-game series? I think that's the question with any team that you go. I mean, we can go back to when Chuck was like, "Oh, how are you going to win with 3-point shooting with the Warriors?" And the next thing you know, they win the championship, man. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's possible, but you'd have to like fill out the rest of the roster with a lot of defensive oriented guys who can play.
I guess I was asking about this roster because how many moves could you make outside of that move, right? Like, that's going to be tough to restructure your whole team outside of that move if that move were to happen midseason.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But let's keep the show moving, Andrew. Salute to NBA Nation. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember that the show is sponsored by Prize Picks. We'll get to our picks later in the show. Make sure to use that promo code to get up to that $100 match, NBAR, okay? Use NBAR to get up to a $100 match for Prize Picks. Woo! I know we want to talk about Knicks, Andrew. I could talk about Knicks all day. That's why we got Knicks Fan TV.
It is part of the NBA. I mean, I think some of the news coming out there is transcending just Knicks talk. Like, Jalen dropped a crazy 50-point game. I know CP brought out the scotch for that. Come on, it was
CP will have any excuse to bring out the scotch. All right, any excuse. Well, let's go on to this next game, Andrew. Let's go on to this next game because we had outside of the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, we had another exciting game, and that was the Warriors facing the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics coming into this game on a 5-game winning streak, and then you had the Warriors looking to find some rhythm after their lineup change. And you know what? They had a really good performance. I mean, you had Steph going off in this game. He had over 30 points. He had Klay Thompson turning back the clock, dropping, I think, 24. Kuminga showing that he's got some powerful driving abilities through the lane. But then on the other side, you still got some good scoring. I mean, you had Jaylen Brown go off in this game. Tatum would get an ankle injury early on in this game. But it was a close contest, man. This game went into overtime, but the Warriors were able to hold out and make enough timely plays to win. What were your thoughts about this game from last night?
I mean, kudos to Jackson Davis, two-way impact on both sides. He's youthful. He injected some energy into this team. You mentioned Clay play well, not only from a scoring standpoint, he was really playmaking, some high-level passes, which was great to see from him. Um, the thing with the Celtics, it's like they just love taking tough shots at times with Jason Tatum off the dribble threes when he's only shooting 29% off the dribble threes this season. He's hunting those more than maybe he should. And down the stretch, I'm not the biggest Tatum guy, Alex.
I know you're not.
Down the stretch, he saw Steph on him, tried to take him to the basket, missing chippies. I actually like the idea of that because at least he's trying to exploit a mismatch instead of taking like a tough 2 or a tough 3. But you got to make those. So, it's tough when the Celtics are not taking the best shots possible in their offense. Al Horford even taking some tough ones as well. But at the end of the day, it was Steph Curry being Steph Curry, and he's just a phenomenal player. The guy does it all. Still in his prime. Still Pete Curry for sure.
For sure. Still Pete Curry indeed. But when I'm looking at these Celtics, Andrew, I'm just, the big thing is that, and I see, I see Celtics Nation out there, saying like, if when we had a KP for this game, and I'm like, that's the issue when you trade for KP. If you're going to have KP for this game.
Okay. I was going to say, like, if they do have him, the Celtics fans are right, though. It makes it a lot more difficult for the Warriors.
For sure. But it's like, but I get that. But at the same time, when I'm looking at this game, we're talking about a Warriors team that's struggling, man. I mean, like I said, I just read it off. They're not even playing contention right now. They're 13-14. They got their own issues to figure out. Andrew Wiggins at least had a decent third quarter, in my opinion. He had an okay game. But it's like, I'm looking at this team like the Warriors are like starting to lose. And we talked about last week, this Warriors team is starting to come to the end of that dynasty run. I mean, Steph Curry's still doing Steph Curry things, but just getting some solid games from Clay here and there isn't going to be enough. This team needs to develop Kuminga. This team also needs to work on Moody. Like there's just so many things. You got Pods that's awesome for this team, but he'd even play in the second half due to a lower back injury. So the Warriors have so much going on. So for a team like the Celtics, and even when they lost to the Pacers for that in-season tournament, I'm like, y'all got like, without KB, I get that. Like, that's the whole point. Like, it's such a top-heavy team, and they don't have a bench.
Mm-hmm.
But against the Warriors team that's struggling, saying that we don't have KP is one, yes, I agree with that. KP makes a big difference, but also two, like, that shouldn't be the answer for a team that's, to me, looking to be a championship contender. Like, you have 2 top 20 players on that team right there. You have it arguably top 5 in Jason Tatum. He's definitely top 10. Jaylen Brown is definitely in the top 20. So it's like, what are we talking about here? These guys are supposed to be able to perform. You want to tell me that, hey, Tatum's got an ankle injury too, so he wasn't able to play a peak performance. We still got 30 from Derek White last night. I'm like, and he was going shot for shot for most of the game.
The guy shot 18 threes. The guy shot 18 threes, by the way.
I know, which is that's a big jump for this guy who was like not necessarily the greatest 3-point shooter. But then I just look at that position. It was like they had 4 or 5 offensive rebounds on the Warriors, and they couldn't convert on 1 3. And to your point, they're taking tough shots, like trying to score. And I'm like, I get you need KP, but it's like the shot selection and all this other stuff is going to be highly questionable because you don't know if you're going to have KP in the playoffs. The hope is you do. Like, he's not a guarantee for this team. And this is where it's like best starting 5 in the NBA, especially when you look at the advanced numbers. But it's just, I don't know, man. Your Milwaukee Bucks agenda starts to get stronger and stronger. I
was about to say that. The Celtics need their top 6. If one of those guys get injured, Combo's Bucks narrative gets a little bit stronger. and I want to see everybody healthy. You know that. But, man, they're going to need health luck.
They're going to need a lot of it, man, especially when you don't have, especially with KP, man. That's definitely what you need. But, hey, there's another team that won. Another team, I say, on the other side of this game that won. It's the Golden State Warriors. And we got some interesting comments, Andrew, from one Shaquille O'Neal on the TNT crew, man. And I want to know your thoughts about this. So Gamb, if you can bring up the clip and let the good folks hear what Shaq had to say last night. I want everyone's opinion on this.
I'm wondering, not saying, I'm just wondering, because he's been consistently the best shooter his whole career. I'm wondering, is it time to start putting him as the best player of all time?
Best player. Over you put him over you.
In the conversation.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
You put him over you. You yourself put Steph Curry over you.
Yeah, this is why he's my favorite player. Cause
I'm not saying favorite. He might be my favorite too, but I'm just asking you think he's better than you.
I played 20 years, watched 20 years before that. I've never seen a guy like him. And he's doing it consistently, and he has championships.
You put him over Michael.
No, I'm not putting him anywhere. I'm saying,
okay,
for all the chitter chatter, is it time to just put him in the conversation?
I think he's a.
I'm asking the fans, is it time to start putting him in the conversation as one of the best players ever?
All right, and there we have it with Shaq saying that he's wondering if we should start putting Steph Curry as the best player of all time. Andrew, what say you?
No.
Ooh, why is that?
No. I mean, he's not ahead of LeBron. He's not ahead of MJ. He's not ahead of Larry Bird, in my opinion. Is he ahead of Kobe? Is he ahead of Kobe, Alex? Let me just say this. I want you to hold that answer. Think about it. Because, yes, he's the GOAT shooter. Yes, he has impacted the modern style of basketball more than anybody else with the influence of analytics and the European style of basketball. He's the one person that influenced the way we play basketball today. You go to any gym, kids are shooting threes from everywhere because of Steph Curry. Highly impacted the game. But no, he's not the greatest player to ever play basketball. He's just not.
I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate because I agree with you. I wouldn't put him up there necessarily with the greatest player of all time. Put him as the greatest player of all time. But I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate with you, Andrew. We
already agreed, Alex. We already agreed.
So here would be the opposing argument, right? Yeah, and you said it. Because one of the reasons I think outside of MJ winning 6 titles and the way that he did it and just being undefeated every time he went to the NBA finals, that adds to the resume and just the greatness to him. He's a legitimate killer. He did not want to face MJ. He dominated the league and you had to run through him in order to try and win a championship, which I get all of that. But part of his appeal also too is his marketability. And when it came to the shoes, everyone wanted to be like Mike, all those commercials. You can talk about all the restaurant commercials out there too. We won't say the names just because they haven't paid the show to be a sponsor. But hey, I get there's a marketing appeal that goes to it. And you said it, he has changed the game. He's influenced the game in such a way where, look, I go to any gym and I just see kids just pulling up from 20 feet out. They can't even hit the shot. They're just heaving their body in the air, just trying to knock down a three. And I'm like, one, I don't really like that style of play because obviously Steph Curry is like you said, one of the greatest shooters, if not the greatest shooter of all time.
He is.
But he has impacted the game where it's he has transformed the NBA. Everyone comes in. Now you talk about even Daryl Morey. It's yo, we got to put up more threes. When you look at the Houston Rockets, it's let's surround James Harden with as much 3-point shooting as possible. You talk about that with anybody else in the league. It's let's surround everybody, our top guys with the best 3-point shooting. We now have this moniker of 3-and-D players, and 3-point shots have really transformed the game. And Steph, along with Clay, has really transformed how everything is done. So wouldn't you put that into add that to the GOAT category? He may not be the greatest player of all time, but if you start to have the conversation, it's all right, how did MJ change the game? Not only on the court, but marketing wise. LeBron James, definitely on the court, marketing wise. Steph Curry on the court has changed it based on how many threes we take. And then marketing wise, how the game is just played, wouldn't you have to throw him in there?
Yeah, he changed the game more than LeBron or Jordan, in my opinion. That does not mean he's greater than LeBron or Jordan. He is not a better basketball player than LeBron or Jordan. We could talk about two-way impact. We could even talk about that Jordan and LeBron are more undeniable than Steph Curry. Steph Curry is awesome. He's great. But part of his greatness is the situation that he's in. He was in a perfect storm, a perfect mix of being with the right system, the right coach, the right players around him. I think Jordan and LeBron are more undeniable talents than Steph Curry. You put them anywhere in the world, they're raising the ceiling of their team. They're making their team that much better. I think those two are the GOATs. I would have Kareem above Steph Curry. I would have Larry Bird. I would have Kobe above Steph Curry. I think he's a top 10 guy. I'm not diminishing what he's done. He's absolutely great. I just don't think he's as great as LeBron or Jordan. I don't think he's a better basketball player than those two.
So even with the rings that he has, the 4 rings, his team's made 6 finals appearances. You still wouldn't even consider all of that to put him even in the top 5 of that conversation.
Top 5 is tough for me. He's the greatest shooter of all time, GOAT shooter, not GOAT player.
Okay. See, I feel like I wouldn't put him over Kobe just because, like, I think about ring wise and like talent wise. I agree with you. Top 10.
Yeah,
he's
top
not the
10.
greatest player of all time, and I think when you go into the nitty gritty of like what makes a great overall player, you hit it on the head with, hey, what is he doing on the other side of the basketball court? Now, some may come out and say, hey, there was one year where he led the league in steals, but leading the league in steals doesn't necessarily mean you're playing good two-way defense. But I would say that
he's not a bad defender. He's not a bad defender.
He's not a bad defender. No, he's not a bad defender. But
does
he's
his
not
job.
like when I think about MJ, it's like there's times where he just gets timely steals and just plays defense, and it's just like both sides. You know, you're not getting through MJ defensively, and you're not stopping him offensively. Same thing with LeBron. Like LeBron now at his age, like he takes some possessions off, but like peak LeBron, you're not defensively you're not.
Yeah. He's doing he's doing a great job of anchoring the defense to this day. Like he's a great defender. And Jordan, he was so amazing because he was the greatest offensive player at his time while being the greatest defensive player. That is so tough. Hardly anybody does that because it's so tough to have that much bandwidth on both sides of the court. Like actually Kawhi did it for that season with Toronto, right? Like, but we rarely see that. And that's what makes Michael Jordan so elite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. You definitely got to play on both sides of the court.
Let me ask you also this, Alex. Now, all right, he was more important to the Warriors than KD, but is he a better basketball player than KD?
Is he a better basketball player than KD? I would say yes. Okay. I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say yes just because, like, I'm still waiting for, like, here. Kevin Durant had to go to the Warriors to actually win something, right?
That doesn't mean he's not better.
It doesn't mean that he's not better, but I think when you talk about like the impact of a player and what he does for a team, like I look at Steph and he changes the entire game of everything. And I think he finally did that. You know, that was the biggest knock on Steph. Could he actually do that, be the sole player to change the outcome? And I think about that finals performance against the Celtics, man, to stop them from going down to 3-1. And that really solidified it to me where it's like, okay, this guy on the court, mano a mano, going against 2 top players in the NBA, did what he had to do to keep his team in it. Yeah, you had a good game from Andrew Wiggins, but to me, like, yes, could KD be a better overall player because he could play defense, give you a shot blocker and stuff like that? Absolutely. But I just think Steph Curry as a basketball player and like the impact that he has on the court, I don't think KD necessarily matches that. I think just when you watch the Warriors, like Steph is the system. Like without Steph, they don't have the system. Like could KD be the system? Sure, but I've seen KD as the system and it hasn't really gone far on either the Nets. It hasn't gone far for Phoenix right now. Like they're a struggling team. And with OKC, they had a lot of talent, but outside of having all 3 of those players, they never went back to the finals and did anything close. I mean, they got swept. They were up 3-1 against the same Warriors team prior to KD joining that team, and they lost. So, like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Steph over KD. I'm feeling that you're gonna go the opposite direction.
OKC is fair. I would say his situations haven't been ideal with the Nets, right? And his current situation now with Beal and Devin Booker. Beal always injured. I mean, chemistry is a real thing. Like the Warriors have built chemistry over time. I do think it's tough sometimes when you're comparing players to put team accolades, too much stock into team accolades. Team accolades matter, but not everything is equal when you're going with team accolades, right? Like if you don't have enough around you, you don't have enough around you. And the Nets are really never totally healthy together. They didn't have enough time. The Suns right now, they didn't have enough time. Now, is some of this a product of his own decisions? Yes. Yes, and that's fair. But I think with all due respect to Wardell, I think the Durant-Curry debate is a better debate than is Curry the GOAT. Like, I think that's a good debate. Like, I don't think Curry's the GOAT. I don't know. I don't think it's even close when you're talking about Jordan and LeBron.
You're saying the debate between Jordan and LeBron is not even
Oh no, that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. We're not getting into
okay. I was like,
I'm saying like I just think that Jordan and LeBron are clearly over Steph.
Okay.
With all due respect to Wardell,
I agree with you though. I feel like the Steph and Kate, that's a really good conversation. I mean, we were having the conversation right now. It's a very good debate to go back and forth on. I mean, we're having some people right now. We have Hassan 33 in the chat saying Steph definitely over Katie. We have Gamba saying Katie ain't better than Melo in that regard. And I guess Gamba's saying he's taking Steph over Katie. I guess that's where he's going. Let's see.
Wow, nobody agrees with Combo in the chat.
Does anybody agree with Combo in the chat? Is anyone saying KD is better than Steph Curry? I just can't. I can't say Steph is better than KD, man. Just out of good conscience, I cannot do that.
You just said you can't. By the way, just to clarify, you just said you cannot say Steph is better than KD.
I mean, other way around. I can't say KD is better than Steph. Sorry.
I just want the people to know what you're saying.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it for catching me on that. Look, man, sometimes when you're running so many screens around here, you lose track of what you're saying. Okay. But hey, so don't clip that. Aggregators, be careful. All right.
Okay.
I will dispute it. But thank you, Andrew, for helping me out there. Salute to NBA Nation for tuning in for another episode of the NBA Report. Remember that the show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Use that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match. I'm with my guy, Andrew Salib, aka the 1-2 combo. On the other side, we're talking about, is Steph Curry in the GOAT conversation right now? He's saying no. I agree. But we're actually having a conversation about whether he and KD's who's better, him or KD. I'm going Steph right now. Wow. CP's going KD greater than Steph.
There you go, CP. Now you're talking. Okay,
Good
CP.
God.
He's right, man. KD is the better basketball player than Steph Curry.
Let's have this debate, Andrew, before we go into our prize picks.
All right.
Melo or KD? I've had a lot of conversations about this one. Melo or KD?
KD's clearly better.
Melo. Wow. I'm gonna go Melo, man. How many guys get onto a team like the Nuggets and then take him from worst to greatest in such a short time?
I mean, Melo's great. But KD's top 10 to me.
This is a conversation for another day. I like it.
Two of the greatest scorers in NBA history. Let's end it there. Yeah.
For sure. All right, everyone. We're going to get into our prize picks right now. And for everyone out there tuning in, this show, like I said, is sponsored by Prize Picks. And everyone out there, if you want to make the games much more interesting, whether it be NFL, NBA, MLB, and whatnot, download the app Prize Picks. Like I said, use the promo code NBAR and get up to a $100 match. Look, when you download the app, you get to make any selections. You get to choose up to 6 players if you want, minimum at least 2. And what you do is you choose higher or lower on whether or not they're going to hit their statistical category. So on the NBA, you could have points, rebounds, assists. You can have the combinations of whether it be players and whatnot, field goals attempted, 3-pointers made. You choose higher or lower. And so for tonight, let me show you where I went. All right. And let me pull it up right now so that way you know what my board is. But remember, you can always this is a fun game. Choose higher or lower, like I said. Pulling up my board right here. And for tonight, there's a promo going on right now in Prize Picks where you can choose Kevin Durant for more than half a point. So I went with that direction first because obviously that's just an easy walk right there. How can you not choose Kevin Durant for more than half a point? That's my top selection. Then the next one I'm going to choose is Tyrese Halliburton for more than 25.5 points. I think him going against the Charlotte Hornets, have a poor defense. That's just not, to me, that's just not a matchup that's going to be, to me, that's just not going to be a good way to stop Tyrese Halliburton. He's going to go ham against the Charlotte Hornets. And I chose Julius Randle for less than 5 3-pointers attempted, because over the last couple of games, the max he's only chose was 5. So I don't think he's going to do that. He's just been attacking the paint so well recently, and he's going against the Brooklyn Nets, who's going to have Cam Johnson playing the 4. I feel like that's just a good night for Julius, just to continue to feast inside the paint. I then chose Nikola Jokic for more than 47.5 points, rebounds, and assists against Toronto. Toronto, not a great defensive team either, and they're going to have Jakob Poeltl. We know Jokic is the engine. Doesn't even matter if Jamal Murray's back there as well to take some of the touches away. Jokic is just going to beast Poeltl, in my opinion. No one stops Jokic. So I think he's going to get more than 47.5 points, rebounds, assists. And then in that same game, I took Dennis Schroeder for more than 6 assists against Denver. Denver, while they're a top team in the West, look, they're going to need someone to organize this offense and to make sure everyone gets into position. It's not going to be all free willy-nilly as you could do against some teams like against the Wizards and the Hornets. I think Dennis Schroeder is going to have to organize this offense a little bit more. So that's what I'm taking for more than 6 assists. And that's for my picks of tonight. So make sure when you play Prize Picks, you can go higher or more, or what is it? You can go more or less when you choose the statistical categories. Those are my picks for tonight. Andrew, what about you?
Ja Morant got the receipts. I got the receipts too. Last night I won. Alex, you want to hear about this?
Let's hear it.
Jaylen Brown was at 23.5. I knew that game was going to be up and down. I know the Golden State Warriors wing defense isn't great with Clay and Wiggins not playing great. He had 28, won that. Jaren Jackson Jr. was at 5.5 rebounds. He only had 0.5 more rebounds. Come on. We won, but Jaren Jackson Jr., you got to rebound more than that. Come on, you're a footer, my guy. But we still won nonetheless. All right, so let me get to today's picks. Your guy, Alex, Obi Toppin, projected at 10.5 points for Charlotte. I think he will go more than against them. He's going to run up and down the floor. Tyrese will catch it for a few lobs. He'll make a few threes, and he will go more than 10.5 points. Joel Embiid, 34 points. And Minnesota has the best defense in the NBA, so I will go less than. I think he'll score around like 28, 29, but not quite get to 34. I think your New York Knicks are going to hold Cam Thomas to under 25 points, so I'll go less than on Cam. Jalen Suggs, more known for his defensive prowess, but I think he could get more than 2.5 assists versus Miami. Come on, just pass to the wing. Somebody's going to hit a 3, right? Pass to Paulo. He's going to get a bucket. I think he get more than 2.5 assists. So there we go. Shouts to Prize Picks. We're here.
Once again, shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Remember to play responsibly and use that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. All right. We have a super chat.
Okay.
We got a super chat in the mix. Shout out to Parrish for the $2 super chat. He said KD couldn't touch Steph. It's why he joined him. Ooh, he said, Andrew, how do you feel about that?
Ooh, I mean, it's fair. It's fair. I think that's not. Well, first of all, we appreciate the super chat, but it's not the right way. That's more of an emotional way to compare two players instead of like a logical way, if that makes sense. Like just because player B joined player A doesn't mean A is better than B. It's like we got to look at what these two basketball players do and then evaluate who's the better basketball player.
So you're saying that because I think what you're thinking of is like when LeBron went back to Cleveland to join up with Kyrie and Kevin Love. So it's like, yeah, LeBron's obviously the greater player, but doesn't mean that Kyrie or K-Love is necessarily better. I hear you on that. I can agree with that. I think talent-wise, though, Steph for me, man. It's just
KD joined the Warriors partly because of Steph, but he really thought as a whole team, as an organization, they played a really fun brand of basketball. And in those championships, he was Finals MVP, right?
Yeah, he was. Yep. He was Finals MVP.
When it matters most, KD was the Finals MVP.
I mean, it also helps when you got, I don't know, like the two other great shooters right behind you, and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry.
Situation matters. I think situation is part of the reason why Steph Curry is a top 10 player all the time. A perfect storm. Perfect storm, as we say. Well, Andrew, we're concluding the show. But before we get out of here, I got one question for you. Do you have any games that you're looking at tonight, man? Is there any matchups that you're looking at tonight? Because for me, I'm looking at, obviously I'm going to be watching the New York and Nets game tonight to see how my team's doing. But interesting, like, I don't know, for Minnesota and Philadelphia is interesting to me, man.
And quite honestly, so is Boston against Sacramento. Those are two other games that I'm looking at tonight. Is there any games that you're watching that you are going to be tuning into?
Yeah, I'm in New York, so I want to see this Brooklyn Nets, New York Knicks game. Knicks have been playing well lately. I really like the way the Brooklyn Nets are structured. I think both of them could benefit from having another star-level player. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if one of those teams make a move. What is your prediction for that game, Alex?
For which one? There's so
Knicks,
many.
Nets.
Knicks, Nets. Knicks are gonna beat the Nets, man. Okay. I just like I said, the matchup between Cam Johnson and Julius Randle is that's barbecue chicken right there for Julius Randle, man.
Barbecue chicken. We got back to Shaq. We went
sir.
from his crazy takes to his quotes in one show.
There you go. Shout out to Shaq. Shout out to Shaq. Shout out to the big fella.
If you're listening, Shaq, we appreciate you, even though your takes are clickbaity.
Facts. Oh, we got another super chat from Parrish. You got another $2 super chat. Andrew, he's commenting. He's like, then where's KD's rings? He chased them.
Okay, it's fair. Can somebody give me the basketball reason? Somebody send the super chat and give me the basketball reason why Steph Curry is a better basketball player than KD. That's what I want to hear.
Oh,
the logical basketball reason. Can you, Alex?
Can I give you why Steph is better than KD?
You know, this would be a good one. Let me play devil's advocate. The gravity that Steph has off the ball and the way he affects the game in that way is, it's better than KD. Like, he's better off the ball. He revolutionized the point guard position to a point where I don't even think he plays like a point guard. But the impact exactly. The impact he has in that way is greater. Maybe you think that affects a team more than what KD does, being more of an isocentric player. I still think KD is better, but that's my devil's advocate argument.
I think when it comes down to it, when you're looking for somebody in the clutch who can knock down shots, where you're talking about playmaking too, like he's not asked to do a lot of playmaking, but when he can play make. Like,
but they both can though.
They can, but I think
they're both underrated playmakers.
Steph does it at a more. He doesn't do it as much as now as he used to. But
don't you see Point KD sometimes with the Nets, with the Suns?
I do see it, but
pretty good.
But there's a level to Steph where he could be like a little maestro where he's just like sliding like a pass, like a slick pass where you're not even paying attention, whether it be behind the back, some crafty bounce passes. There's just something to Steph Curry's passing ability that's also underrated that like KD does. Like KD's a good passer, good facilitator, good playmaker, but there's just something to Steph. Like when the chips are on the line, I'm going to trust Steph more in just like breaking down a defense, finding the right person who's open, or if he just sees a mismatch, he'll just go in there. I just trust him more on his shot creation, man. Honestly, I just trust him more on his shot creation than I do with KD. I mean, there's just nights even this season that we see KD could be wide open from three and he's just clanking the back iron. Yeah, are there times that Steph does it too, but more often than not, that thing's going through the net for Steph. Just like that's why we're talking about him as like one of the greatest 3-point shooters, one of the greatest shooters to ever play the game, man. So I don't know. I'm going to go with Steph, man. I'm going to go with Steph. And it always comes back to, like, I know we talk about the basketball reason, but you did it again, man. Like, you just said, like, he's transformed the game where no one plays like a point guard anymore. And it's like, it's so true. Like, we had this conversation with, like, about Jalen Brunson. Like, he's not a point guard. Like, but who plays like a point guard? Who, outside of Tyrese Halliburton and Chris Paul in the NBA, who really is like orchestrating an offense?
I was going to say that, like, Steph Curry and the warrior style of play is a big reason why the CP3 archetype doesn't even exist in the NBA anymore. And then they bring CP3 in.
Yeah.
How ironic.
There you go. Because Draymond can't do what he used to do anymore, man, at a high level, and he can't stay on the court.
Oh, man. And he's out there knocking people out, even though he didn't intend to.
Allegedly. But Andrew, great show, man. Great show today. Covered a lot of topics.
We did.
Love getting into these debates, man. I love how it comes. We got into some nice heated debates between, about Zion, what you do with Zion. Steph, is he a GOAT? Steph versus KD. There's a lot of great stuff. So you're just tuning in now. Make sure to go back and tune into the entire show. We covered a lot of great topics. But yeah, man. That's it for today. We'll catch you all next time. But remember to make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're tuning in for the first time. Support this channel. Support the movement. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button, because that's how you help the algorithm for us. So that way we get more notice. So make sure to hit that thumbs up button as well for your boys. On top of that, support our sponsor, man. Prize Picks. Make sure to use the promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match. Because look, if you want to make the games more interesting as you're watching at home, what better to do than using Prize Picks? So, on that note, we'll catch y'all later. Yeah, well, I catch y'all later. Catch you on Friday, same time, 3 p.m. All right, NBA Report. You already know what it is. We out.